Okay, welcome students. This is lesson 007. We're going to focus on the left hand here. And this note right here is C. It's the low C, below middle C. 8 notes below middle C. If we start up here on middle C and we count 8 notes down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 1 octave to the left, 1 octave down from middle C, you get low C. Place the pinky over the low C, the third finger over the E, and the thumb over the G. Now play those 3 notes together, simultaneously at the same time. Like that. So once again, the C chord, the C major triad, as its full name is C, skip D, E, skip F, G. So what is a major triad? Major means big, happy sound, and triad means 3 notes, 3-note chord. That's your C chord. We're going to call it C chord for short. Means the same thing as a C major triad. Now to get to the other chord, the G7 chord, which the full name is actually G dominant 7 chord, which is a 4-note chord, but we're only going to play 3 of those 4 notes. We're going to play the G7 chord, we can call it that for short. The G7 chord we're going to play as a 3-note chord. We're going to omit one of the notes. It's actually a 4-note chord. So how do you do it? You keep the thumb where it is, which is on the G. You play the second finger next to the thumb, like that. And the pinky, instead of playing C, drops to the left, and you play the B. Okay, so it's 2 chords. The C chord and the G7 chord. Now watch how I change. Watch how I go back and forth. I'll do it slowly. C chord, G7 chord. Back to the C chord. When trying to find the C chord, just put the pinky over the C, skip, play, skip, play. So it's C, skip, play, skip, play. There's your C chord. Simple enough. And then you can find the G7 from there by keeping the thumb on that G. Don't lift up your thumb, but the second finger you're going to press right next to the G and get rid of that note. Okay, so now you got these 2 right next to each other here. G and F right next to each other. The pinky, which was over here, is going to drop down to the B now, to the left. And that's your G7 chord. Then you go back to the C chord. If you're not sure what it was, start with a C, skip, play, skip, play. Start with a C, skip, play, skip, play. Now you want to play them all together, simultaneously, like that. That's called block harmony. Blocked, meaning all at the same time, as opposed to broken. That's broken harmony. Many ways to play broken harmony, but we want to play it blocked right now, like this. Then you keep holding the chord when you play the melody. Watch. And that is called a sustained style. Sustained style. You don't want to let go of the chord like this. That doesn't sound good. Keep holding the chord. When you get to this next part, change. That was a G7 chord. Now go back to the C chord for this part. Repeat the C chord again. Change to the G7. And change back to the C chord. Okay, the chords change because of the melody notes. When the melody notes would be better accommodated by another chord which has that note in it, it makes more sense to play that chord. So the note D is accommodated very well by the G7 chord, because actually the G7 chord has a D in it, but we're not playing it down there. We're actually playing it in the melody, but even if we didn't play it at all, it's still a G7 chord, even without that note, with the note missing. So we have the C chord, and then when we get to these 3 Ds in the melody, it's G7. Now when you go back to the E in the melody, change back to the C chord. Repeat the C chord here. Now you're going to get back to the Ds again, but it's only 2 Ds this time in the melody. Change to G7. Stay on the G7, and now change back to the C chord when you play the last note C of the melody. Okay, now we don't have to change every time you play a D to the G7. For example, you don't have to do this. That's too many times. If the Ds move by quickly, you can really stay on that C chord. But when we have a lot of Ds like this, it sounds better to change to G7. Or if you have a very long note on the D, then the G7 is a better chord for that note. So that's the way it works. So listen once again, and then you try it. Okay, I want you to study that and try it and review the lesson. If you are not sure about something, go back, review the earlier lessons. The next lesson is very important. It talks about rhythm. We're going to be showing you how to play a rhythm to this song. But right now, you have the complete song, Mary Had a Little Lamb, with melody, harmony, bass included. The bass, of course, is the note on the left of the harmony. That note, that's the bass note. So melody, harmony, bass. And you are playing a complete strata for the song. Okay, we'll see you in lesson 008, which talks about rhythm.